Tom Statura, exploring improvements to verbs.
Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about exploring some improvements for verbs today. So start with the disclaimers. So I'm not a verbs expert, and I'm trusting that you guys are more verbs experts, and I was hoping to get Nathan up on the stage too. But Nathan actually helped us. The reason I'm bringing this to attention here is, for those of you who don't know me, I co-chair the Technical Advisory Council with Diego. So, and one of the things that we did in here is took a hard look at some of the, I would say, hurdles that we have with verbs. So what I want to do is explore that with you today, get your feedback to see if they feel like they're the right ones, if there's different ones we need to add to the list. But the point is, the Technical Advisory Council is responsible for looking out and figuring out which directions we need to head for the OFA. And so this is one of them. So I'm going to need your help to get through this. I do want to make this an interactive presentation, but I do want to do a commercial break on the TAC first. And I have a topic tomorrow. I'll go into more detail on this tomorrow, but I wanted to do it today because I've seen, through past workshops that a large percentage of the audience actually disappears for the last day. And usually we talk about the TAC on the last day. So if you don't know what it is, I want to give you a quick commercial here. And if you're interested, you can contact me offline. So first of all, it stands for the Technical Advisory Council. And you can read the, what I call the fine print there, which isn't too fine. These are the kind of the things we're supposed to do. But if I were to put this in my own words, the thing that we are trying to drive is find the growth areas for OFA. Okay, and I'll hit it on the next slide, but one of the things that was an outcome of the TAC was this OFI-WG work that you saw yesterday that Paul and Sean talked about. So that was incubated as an idea of we need to understand applications better first, and then once it got into a form stage, we realized that we need a work group. So anyway, we meet on a semi-regular basis twice a month, and there's a bunch of technical experts that call into it. This is actually open to anybody. So unlike a lot of work groups where you have to be a member, we actually do have guests come in because we're talking about things that we often don't understand. So we want to make sure we bring the right experts in to help us understand and have a conversation around it. So I drive the agenda, and we talk about a lot of things. So let me tell you some of the things we talk about. So first of all, there's some real outputs here that you may or may not have realized. So, and I see Diego in the back. So Diego, jump in with whatever you want to say. So, but the one I already talked about is that last bullet, the OFI-WG. So that was incubated in the TAC, and I really want to highlight that. If you guys remember last year, this was kicked off, I think largely by Paul, on this idea of should we be rethinking how we look at things. And a lot of that work was in the forming stages of the TAC at that time. And in fact, I can't get the dates right in my head, but I think it was a few months later is where we actually got to the point where we thought it was formed enough in an idea and recognized that we needed smarter people than us to bring it to the next level. So we went to the board and said we should instigate a working group to go tackle this, and that's how the working group was born. So that's a really good example of a success story for the TAC, where we tried to figure out what we don't know, figure out where we need to go, and put a plan in place for the OFA to go forward. Some other examples up here that you may or may not be aware of is the first one really fed a lot of this OFI-WG work, but we vetted a lot of the new ULPs that are coming in. So for example, we saw a talk by Howard yesterday on PGAS, but we also, we're trying to explore a lot of different is PGAS different that we have to look at OFA differently? So we brought some PGAS experts in, had lots of chats about it, and that naturally fit into the work that we have now as the OFI-WG. The other thing we did is we looked at the high performance needs of applications, and that was kind of before we had this idea of OFI-WG. So I guess you could look at those three bullets as all kind of rooted in the idea that we came up with this work group. Some of the other areas that we're working on right now, and I'll talk about this one in a minute, is improving the verbs. What can we do to make verbs better? The other one, we had some experts come in, and I'll talk about this more tomorrow, but we had experts come in and tell us what is the OFA or RDMA relevance in the cloud. And we actually got some really good, interesting outputs there. And like I said, I'll tease you and say stick around tomorrow and I'll cover that. And then the other one is storage usage models. And we've heard a lot about non-volatile memory today and yesterday. So you know, there are lots more interesting things for us to do. But I want you guys to know, as a quick commercial here, that this is the group that tries to focus on it. And like I said, it's open to whoever wants to participate. So the only thing I would say is it's a technical group. So you know, we don't make sure there's no marketing that's going on there. And our conversations tend to be less about foil flipping and more about engaging debate on what we need to do and where we need to go. So if you're interested, you got my email address there. Go ahead and send it to me, and we can get you plugged in. So commercial over. So improving verbs. So Nathan actually came into the TAC, and you guys saw Nathan present yesterday. So these are his words, but I thought it was a really good idea to walk through what we reviewed in the TAC. And actually, you know, as all things seem to be pointing, this is yet again one of those things that got us down the path of should we be doing something different in terms of applications. So this actually happened before OFIWG was, you know, a glimmer in our eyes. So this is a long time ago, but we're kind of resurfacing it because now that effort's going, do we need to go back and do anything different with verbs? So I'm just going to try to walk through these, and then I'm going to pause and, you know, do a survey of the audience to say, you guys agree with this or not? And I'll show you on the next slide where I try to rebucket this in a different way, that I think we've heard a lot of these throughout the presentations that we've had to date. So first one, RDMA CM doesn't scale. So the example there, or more detail that Nathan brought to the table was, you know, issue scaling beyond 1,500 ranks and 32 CPUs per node. So you know, raise your hand. Is this one of the ones you guys, you know, yeah, this is a problem for me? Anybody? See one hand. Just get an idea. My sense is going to be, you know, which of these, by the way, the more hands I see up, those are going to prioritize where I direct the TAC to work. So I really encourage you, if like this one's a problem, say yes. Okay. All right. Yes. Nathan raises them for all. Okay.
You might ask that question at the iCloud.
I won't be there. I'll ask Susan or Nathan to do that for me. That would be good. Next one, RC mode runs out of Q-pair resources. Any hands? Okay, so far verbs is pretty good. I don't see a lot of hands. Third one, verbs interface doesn't map well to MPI semantics. Okay, anybody else? All right. Heavy cost of setup and managing memory registration. Okay, we're getting somewhere. See more hands. Lack of standardization between hardware implementations. The example, the glaring example here is PSM versus MXM. Okay. And the last one, no mapping to well-known ports. Okay, so I guess the good news is I've seen hands, and actually a lot of different hands for different ones, but I've seen everybody raise hands for every one of these, so that's good. Is Nathan in the room by chance? See if he wants to add anything. He's not. Okay. So I did a different mapping of this, and again, I told you I'm not a verbs expert, so this is my take of a way to reorder this, but the way I looked at these problems is I think we have basically 3 issues, and you could call them 2.5 the way I really grouped them, but a scalability issue with the RDMA CM and the QP resources, a little bit more than a scalability, also a usability issue that adds when you talk about the memory registration. And then, I stole these words from somebody else that said this, I think, about a year ago, but an application impedance mismatch for these other ones with, you know, doesn't map well to MPI, different hardware implementations, et cetera. So those are the 6 that I covered on the previous page, grouped a different way, and you'll see why I grouped them in just a second. But I want to pause here and say, is there anything else that wasn't on this list? And if you like looking at this one versus this one, we can look at whichever one you want. But what's missing? What are the other, I'm really struggling to make verbs do what I need to do because it's missing XYZ. Any other ones that ring true that you should throw out to me? Okay, then we got the right 6. You can give me more feedback later, but I'm going to run with that. So like I said, we did cover a lot. I was really paying attention, knowing that I had this list ahead of time. I was paying attention to all the talks that we've had over the last day and a half, or I guess now it's almost 2 days. And I just did a quick little brief, summary of the talk that where I thought I heard this mentioned. So I may have got it wrong, not being a verbs expert, but I heard a lot of these things come up, and so I kind of jotted down where it was. And the OFIWG is across all boards, but the thing that is really interesting to me is the OFIWG, and I'll just go to this one, is really, in my opinion, tackling that application's impedance mismatch. So that one's coming from the viewpoint of we have an application and what do we need to make that application run better. So it's not that I want to say, don't have to worry about that, but I think there is a focused effort and a work group that's working on that. And what I think, regrouping this with the scalability and scalability usability, there was lots of topics like you saw on the previous one, and actually I'm looking forward to the scalable subnet administration topic, which hasn't happened yet, so I'm branch predicting that's gonna talk about a lot of that with the word scalable in it. But what I want to do is make sure the TAC focuses on this upper area. So what can we do to make sure that we're driving the progress in this direction? So do you guys agree that that's that's a worthy task for the TAC to be working on? I see some nods and silence is good. Okay, so we'll take that up. I'll give more of an update of other things the TAC is working on tomorrow. But I do recognize that this is not just an OFA problem. So I think if you see it there, I'm calling out the IBTA as well. So we'll have to figure out what makes sense there. We'll start with the TAC, but I think this is going to have to be a real joint effort if there are any changes required in the wireline protocol or in the interface to make that happen. So that was about all I had. So short topic. I apologize. I didn't coordinate with Nathan with my earlier time to be here for this. Paul, is there anything you want to add to this? Okay. So I've always been a guy who does words and pictures. If you notice, there was no pictures in these previous slides because I like to try to capture the audience, but it was all very technical and I didn't have the right pictures for it. I had a picture, and now it's going to be a tease since the order of presentations has been put up, but I did put one picture together. But since Bill made me go earlier, you're going to have to wait. Thanks.